Good morning, YouTube. It's your boy King Cobra, giving you some pro tips with making your own mead. One of my fans was gracious enough to send me some wine making yeast number 1118, and this wine making yeast does not require any sort of hot water to activate it, and it doesn't like the build up. You know, when you're making your own homemade wine, and the excuse me, when you're making your own homemade wine, the bottle likes to expand. So if you don't have an airlock, I would use a balloon like I do. Just poke a hole in the middle of the cap, stretch a balloon over it, double tie the ponytail, one loop, two loop, boom. But luckily, the wine 1118 yeast, it doesn't, what you'd call, because if you put like instant yeast in a bottle of mead, it does work. However, if you don't have a lock for it or some kind of thing, it'll swell up pretty fast. Whereas the wine making yeast doesn't. It's very popular with winemakers alike because it'll give your wine an 18% alcohol volume if your wine yeast is treated to the right conditions. You know, wine yeast likes it cold, dark, and no light. That's why when I was pouring water into the honey bottle, it was cold water, and I gave it a little swoosh, poured it into there. People were like, oh my god, Tampico and fucking Hawaiian Punch have all these chemicals. Okay, to be fair, that mango punch mead that I made knocked me on my ass. So when this one's done, I'm not going to drink it as fast and savor it more. I'll be bottling up the strawberry banana mead on the 22nd of October. The puree, the concentrate puree, you know, the strawberry banana stuff in the can, that's made from real fruits, and it's concentrated. So if you give the wine, the 1118 wine yeast, plenty of sugar to eat and dissolve and whatever, and you put it in a dark and cold closet and just let it sit. When I first started making the wine, I didn't use an airlock because I saw a recipe on YouTube where the dude just left the cap partially off. Not enough to like blow the cap off, but enough to like, you know what I'm saying? And people are like, you should try using a balloon. So I'm like, okay, you can't afford an airlock. You drill a hole in the middle of your lid, stretch a balloon over, and then double loop the ponytail holder around the balloon's base in the lid. And before you do all that, you want to make sure that your lid is on there nice and tight. Because the wine yeast slowly releases pressure, unlike, say, your instant yeast, where within like 2 hours or less, the bottle's like, you know what I'm saying? So, yes, you can use instant yeast to make alcohol. You can use regular dough yeast where you have to activate it through some lukewarm water. But having to like temp the water on top of it, it's just extra steps. You know, so like, and here's the thing of it, you can't really find wine yeast in the store unless you know what you're looking for. They usually just have like instant yeast or some shit like that. But the fans sent me some wine making yeast and a funnel for distributing the sugar more cleanly into the hooch. And thank you to my fans for doing that. That's really appreciated. I've been wanting to do the strawberry banana mead for a couple days now, and I was gonna order some more or use the yeast that I already had, or use, but I decided not to, and just go with the yeast that my fans sent me. And doing some research, like I said, you can make, using wine yeast 1118, if you have the happiest of conditions for that yeast, you can make a homemade wine / mead that's like 18% alcohol in volume. But if you don't take good care of it, it'll probably poop out before it gets to 14 or less. So 18% alcohol by volume is nothing to sneeze at. A Four Loko is like 11, 12, 13, 14 alcohol by volume. Camel Silver Ice with the 4X's is 12.6% or 9 in volume. So because the pressure in this bottle has a makeshift balloon airlock, and because the yeast I put in my newest bottle, freaking, like I said, I was doing some research on Google, and then when I went to go look at it in the where I keep my bottles, the wine began to instantly darken up, and it had like that yeasty sort of foam that you get when you start fermenting alcohol. And the bubbles themselves were the same color as the liquid versus being a pure white. So I think I'll get better results for sure with the wine yeast. I'm not going to touch it unless the balloon gets too big with, the pressure, in which case you'll have to burp it and replace the balloon. But that balloon ain't filling up very fast, tubes. It really ain't. It's been a couple hours since I assembled that banana strawberry mead. And people are going, how the fuck is this going to turn into alcohol? Because, the Hawaiian Punch deal has so many chemicals in it and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's why you add a little bit of extra sugar. That's why you add actual fruit to it. And then on top of that, some actual honey. Between the raw, unfiltered honey, the 2 cups of sugar, and then an entire Dole banana thrown in there with like a couple of strawberries. And, the concentrate, in the can, the blue can that you see in that video, that is a puree concentrate made from strawberries and bananas. So, like, you kind of like, it's like a little science experiment. But what's on my agenda for today? It is Friday, tubes. And the time gets to be a bit more closer to the afternoon. Work on wands and music. And I got a food hack I'm planning with a bacon cheeseburger that I wanted to add a killer cookie dough brownie to it and a banana bread Pop-Tart. But when I ordered my order, they were out of stock on those 2 items. So we'll still make the burger look good and delicious. Don't you worry about a thing on that. Also, I'm not going to be doing as many drinking streams, because if I do drink on camera, it's not going to be a shit ton. Like, real talk, you've seen me pass out drunk on camera multiple fucking times. So the assholes who called the cops and the EMTs on me were not doing it because they care. They were doing it to fuck with me. because it's like, oh, Cobra found something he enjoys. Cobra enjoys making his own hooch. Well, we can't have that, can we? Now, the closet where I store my homemade hooch bottles is dark, it's dry, and it's cold. And this would be a great way to try out another recipe with a different yeast. Yeah, so I'm not going to be bottling that up into a clean bottle until October 22nd, even though Google said it only takes like 3 to 5 days to turn into hooch, pruno, whatever you want to call it. Wine does get better with age, people. And I want to make sure that goddamn honey is completely dissolved into the potion, if you will. The yeast has a little bit of strawberry chunk in it. Like I said, you saw the video, dude. You know, the camera angles could have been better, but sometimes you need two hands to make it. But I do appreciate the selfie stick someone sent me for filming videos. Well, the tripod, I mean. If I can figure out how to use them, you know, it'd be a great addition to my cooking videos. Or let me not have to prop the phone up on a glass or some shit. Now, I tried the banana strawberry punch by itself in my last shout out video, and it's delicious. I've managed to drink the other bottle of it completely clean, so now all I gotta do is wait an entire month to make it happen. And what's in a month? 30 days. Anything longer than that, I don't know. But I'm gonna be watching it like a hawk, dude. And it's like, what doesn't have chemicals in it these days? So you can use instant yeast or, you know, the yeast where you have to add water to it kind of thing to make your hooch. But if you're getting the yeast where you got to add the water to it, it's just, it feels like an extra step, dude. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if you could find a way to make homemade wine cheap, quick, and with little steps as possible, there you go. There is a slight difference with this batch, though, of homemade wine. The last two times I made it, I used instant yeast, and it would expand all the carbonation from the fermentation. You know what I'm saying? It built up really quickly. But the nice thing, like I said, about the wine making yeast is that you know, it doesn't build up so quickly. The pressure, it's very slow to build up, and it's ideal for making wine. And it's why winemaking yeast number 1118 is very popular amongst home brewers and what have you. I don't want to take it out to show it off too often because I don't want the fucking yeast to die on me before I've had a chance to ferment it. So unless it's dark outside or dark in my apartment with little to no light, I'm not going to be showing off that bottle unless I open the closet door and like film it like, hey, this is what it looks like now. You know. Now the only time I might have to like manually burp my strawberry banana mead is if the balloon gets too big and it's like, you know what I'm saying, looks like it's about to pop or whatever. But we'll just keep an eye on it, check on it every other day, make sure the balloon doesn't get too full. And if the balloon pops, just replace the balloon. straightforward. Are balloons the best option for making a stopper for your hooch? No, but if you don't want to wait for shipping and handling, and you go to a random store in your local area and just pick up a pack of latex balloons. Also, a disclaimer: making your own alcohol is for 21 and up, depending on your laws and where you live in the country or countries. Like England's drinking age is lower, but that's beside the point. Be careful when making your own homemade wine. You can, in fact, catch botulism. Surprisingly, that mango punch mead turned out delicious. And my dumbass was like, let's see how much of it we can drink on stream. And then I got it down to damn near the bottom, and I passed out in my chair, and then the cops and the EMTs fucking show up, and I'm like, well, that's just great. They're like, why the fuck? I'm like, why the fuck are you going? I didn't say the F-bomb, but I was like, why are you people here? We got a call. People were concerned about you. I'm like, oh my freaking God. I'm like, I wasn't doing anything wrong, officer, EMTs, etc. I was drinking my own homemade wine and just streaming. It's like, well, and that's the thing of it, man. You cannot let the haters get to you. Like, they are the worst pieces of shit. But you know what? I've got better things to do with my life. Making wands, working on my new album, coming up with food hacks, new t-shirts. I got 10 million things I'd rather do than fucking harass my trolls in real life, because why should I have to go out of my way to harass them? I don't. I go live and they get so triggered. They'll even send me stupid text messages too, like, I thought I told you you couldn't go live, boy. And I just laugh at it. I'm like, no one's forcing you to watch my videos, dude. I only had to use the funnel for the 2 cups of sugar. The hole in the bottle was wide enough to drop the banana and strawberries in there. You know. But I like making homemade alcohol. People are like, why don't you just go to the store and buy it? It's easier, and you don't gotta wait. I'm like, because, dude, creating your own homemade brew is a labor of love. It just tastes better when you've put all this hard work into it versus, because, yeah, it doesn't take much rocket science to make hooch like I'm making. But with my experiences that I have with it, I will share that with you on YouTube. So if my fans want to try making their own, but based off of my research, if you can get a hold of winemaking yeast 1118, that's a better selection than instant yeast. There is a difference because when it says winemaking yeast, it's specifically designed to make wine. And a lot of winemakers use it. I'm like, mead is a type of wine. It is a honey wine, basically. And I didn't touch the mango mead, until all the honey had dissolved off the bottom with the sugar and into the liquid itself. Make sure we got a full fermentation. I might try, when I bottle it on the 22nd, I'll try a couple glasses, like 2 to 4 glasses of it on YouTube, just to see how it tastes, and we'll give it an honest Cobra's review. Then I'll probably just save the rest for Halloween. That's what I'm saying. You know what? Sometimes when you're smoking a pipe and you got the mouthpiece in your clenched like that, if you bite down too hard on it, it cracks your stem. And then what do? It's like, well, you can either reshape it or get a new stem. This is the second time this has happened, but I reshaped my pipe stem on the mouthpiece. So I was able to fix my tobacco pipe with just a little bit of sandpaper, the roughest grit to shape it, and then 2 grits softer to smooth it out. It's not the most professional fix, but I can't afford to send this back to the factory and be like, hey, my stem broke, can you replace it? So, in true King Cobra tobacco pipe fashion, I bloody fixed it. I've had to fix, you know, when a tobacco pipe breaks, you can get upset by it, or you can go, okay, how can we fix this? And I love this pipe. It's a Savinelli. It is a billiard smooth finish with a fishtail mouthpiece. Although the side profile, it kind of looks like a curvy woman. Hoo-hoo, maybe a snake's head. I can clench it between my teeth like a classic pipe. And it's not uncomfortable by any sense of the word. Death grip it. It won't, you know what I'm saying? Pipe smokers sometimes will chew on their stem when they're smoking it. But rather than just letting it clench in your teeth, it's firm, but it's not like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, is it the prettiest repair job? No. But I had to reshape the mouthpiece from here to the sides. I mean, it works. If the stem gets any fucking shorter, though, I'll have to fucking replace it. And just keep this on handy. I've got like 3 other tobacco pipes. So it ain't nothing but a trip. I bought some coffee to start our fucking day, huh? Monster Mocha 300 triple shot. Crack one of these open. And one's enough. Drinking 2 of these in one sitting like I've done on YouTube is stupid because that's like 600 milligrams of caffeine. No. One's enough. Oh, that's tasty. That is fucking tasty. Do you think we can make a hard coffee out of this using the yeast? I don't know, man. But the way I see it, it's basic chemistry. If you have yeast, sugar, a liquid, and a liquid that has some kind of fruit in it, then it'll ferment. People are accusing me of faking being drunk when I was drinking my mead. And I was trying to hold my composure, but like it started to kick in, and I was just like, yeah. First time I made that homemade mead, that got me drunk in like, or not the mead, the first attempt I made at homemade wine got me tipsy in 8 glasses or less. The second attempt tasted even better. There's a reason why I drained the majority of the punch strawberry banana, so we can make room for the honey, the sugar, the yeast, and the fruit. And then, of course, the puree, nectarine. I haven't gotten sick yet from drinking them, so that's good. But I appreciate y'all's concern. I make some wands, work on my music, fucking do a food hack. That's on my agenda. So if I don't go live today, don't feel bad. It's because I'm making other videos. Or I'm working on my music, you know. But if you watch the comment section on my homemade strawberry banana mead video that I just uploaded, I left a couple of awesome comments on the old YouTube. By saying, based off of my research, using Google to ask the important questions. Like, how long does it take the 1118 yeast to ferment into alcohol? Google said anywhere from 3 to 5 to 8 days. Results may vary. But is making your own homemade hooch fun? Goddamn right it is. And when it turns out delicious and doesn't get you sick, but it fucks you up. You know what I'm saying? So I can't figure out that tripod for my cooking video. Drink combo with that Mead. Couldn't think of one, to be honest. It's still relatively dark in here. I suppose I can give you a peek. I haven't had to burp it. But take a look at that. We got fermentation on the top. Every time I've gone to make homemade hooch, it ferments and does the bubbly thing. And the carbonation, like you know how when you add yeast to sugar and it ferments, and then that fermentation causes your bottle to swell and then decompress? Well, the yeast I used for this, courtesy of my fans, like I said, it doesn't release the gases nearly as quickly, so it releases a lot slower into the balloon than, say, your traditional instant yeast or bread yeast that you activate with water. It's been a couple hours since I started fermenting it, and I just want to look at it, make sure we're doing good. Oh yeah, we're doing amazing. That's, you know, from all the homemade alcohol videos I've seen, if your yeast is happy with the content you're feeding it, it ferments and bubbles up like that. So yeah, do your research, people. If you want to get into homemade making your own homemade hooch, I'd recommend it. I think it's fun. I found a new little hobby to enjoy. And if you don't got one of those locks for burping it, so you can always use this. So we're going to stick this back in the dark closet that's cold on the top shelf, like we have been putting in there, and we'll let it do its thing. You know, I don't gotta shake it or mix it, just let it ferment. I'm gonna let it ferment until October 22nd. Then we'll bottle it up in a clean bottle. What do you guys and gals think? I know it looks a little funky, but, you know. It says natural and artificial strawberry banana flavor juice drink. So it has natural juices and artificial. So it's got natural preservatives, and that'll definitely help with the fermentation, which is why I think this might actually turn out pretty decent. thank you to the fans who sent me the care package with the yeast and the funnel. You know, this I've been wanting to make this flavor of mead for a couple days now. So that's most definitely what's up. This could turn into like 18% alcohol by volume, and that's the goal at least. But I don't want to expose it to too much more light, so I'll give you one more close up. Every time I've gone to make homemade mead, it bubbles and ferments like this, and then the balloon just gets really big because of the carbonation in it. But the nice thing about the 1118 winemaking yeast, it doesn't like carbonate as quickly. It's a little bit slower on that. So if this balloon gets to be like ginormous, then of course I'll just lift the ponytail holder off and deflate it a little bit and then reattach it. But like, big difference when I did this with the mango mead. Within like an hour and a half to 2 hours, this balloon was huge because I used an instant yeast, and that shit tends to build up carbonation quicker. But the carbonation building up slower, and the winemaking yeast allows it to concentrate that. And I left a little bit of space right here for it to like breathe, you know. Whatever yeast you're using, it's important to leave a little bit of space for it to breathe. Otherwise, it could overflow. But yeah, I think this will be fucking amazing. I put a whole Dole banana in there, and then like, you know, a little bit under half a cup of strawberries. Just enough strawberries to equal out, you know, the chunk of banana. And the wine making yeast is going to literally eat all of the sugar and the honey on the bottom here, as well as absorbing the natural sugars from the banana and the strawberry. And then when you use the natural ingredients of the punch, and then the what's it called, the strawberry banana puree nectar, you know what I'm saying? It'll make some, hopefully it'll make some good mead. We shall definitely see. And I make a challenge out of it too. It's like, while we're waiting for the wine to age, or the mead to age, we'll drink less so your tolerance goes down. In the end, this can be a dangerous way to make alcohol, but it is cheaper. And because it rises slower on the carbonation than like your regular, like traditional instant yeast or bread yeast, just keep an eye on it every other day or so. If the balloon gets to be like ginormous, like I said, just slowly release it without trying to like lose any air in the bottle at the same time. But that's how you do it, tubes.